Good morning and welcome back to Waffles RC. As you saw by the thumbnail, we are doing two things today because painting's not exactly entertaining to watch. So we're going to be painting the Rotator and starting our 10,000 subscriber build. Finally, even though we're at like 10,500. But either way, I've been collecting parts for that car, so now I have all the parts so we can get started on it. But we must paint first. And of course, in Waffles RC fashion, we are doing it all with spray paint. Now, speaking of spray paint, I've been searching around for the last half an hour because I always, absolutely always keep gloss black paint on hand at all times. This is all I have. And it's almost empty. Basically, going to use what's left of this to get the inside of the boxes, because that does need paint as well. We have our green to match the truck, which I have an idea for the scheme, kind of feeling it out as I go. I have spent the morning sanding and grinding everything to prepare it for paint. But there is one more crucial step in paint, and that is making sure everything is clean. So let's clean it the correct way. Well, darn. I'm just kidding. I got more. Yes, I know that's not the correct way to prep for paint with an RC car, but it's the way I do it. And if you believe the internet, this is not even the right way to build an RC. So let's just stick with the theme of do it wrong, make it good. That should be a shirt. Waffles RC, doing it wrong. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Because in my mind, I'm not doing it wrong, I'm doing it different. It's just wrong in someone else's eyes. Yeah, no. Can't do it. Okay, paint time. Now when you are painting, you want to make sure that you're in a well-ventilated area, obviously, because of the fumes, in a clean environment where there's no dirt and especially no wind. As you can tell by my t-shirt, using my trailer as a wind block, it doesn't work very well. But once again, work with what you got. I'm not going to paint inside my garage. And the inside does not have to be perfect. It just has to be painted. Because remember, this bolts on. So basically, it stays covered. So you won't be able to see the runs, the missing spots. We just want it to be protected and to keep it from rusting. That is the main goal behind painting the inside of these. Oh, that's horrible. Good job. Don't use old paint either, because it clogs itself. And now I can't even finish the inside of that box. But hey, we got one. Now what's most annoying is that I went and bought paint this morning and I didn't get black because I always thought I had it. So that's slightly annoying as well. But we have the green. We got a lot of green stuff to paint. Don't know if this is the right green. It looked close to it. Give it a couple of coats. Oops. Let's go see if it's even close, because it could be the sun. Yeah, it's close. I'll work with that. I'll deal with that stuff later. I don't know how I'm going to do that. They're with the servos that they need to be on, but I have to paint them, so that means I can't mark them on which one is which, so I'll figure that out later. This is what I came up with, so that way I can paint them as long as I don't move them from that exact position. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but I think that'll work. Let's go get started on our 10,000 subscriber build. The sun is really bright, and the reason why I'm not painting that roll bar is on purpose, because it is going to be a different color. Well, it's going to be chrome. Oh, and I just realized I got a lot of green on it. We'll clean that off before we paint the chrome, but I need the green all to dry before I can do the chrome, because I do know that much about painting. Wait for it to dry before putting tape on it. Okay, so now we are going to start our 10,000 subscriber build. If you didn't see the survey back in December of when I did it, the choice was made that we were going to build a 1969, I'm pretty sure. I probably should have looked that up before I started filming, but oh well. 69 Impala station wagon. Yeah, see, we like weird cars here. It is a 3D printed body. It was made by this person right here on Etsy. The link is in the description as well. He makes some good quality bodies. It was actually the same person that made the Caprice body. So we are going to build this the exact same way that I have built, well, a majority of these. I'm going to make my own frame for it. I do have the axles, and I do have the coilovers, and I do have the links. So we should be able to get pretty good progress on this thing. So let's clean off our workbench, start making a frame. We are going to make our frame the exact same way as we always do. For those of you who are new here, I use 1/2 inch square stock. And basically, I'm going to cut wedges out of it and make what looks like a frame rail so that we have clearance for our axles, and then we have spot to mount everything. Now, to me, it's not super complicated. I've learned over the years of how to do this pretty quickly. But for those of you just starting, there are a few tricks to it. Measuring, number one, measure. This is one of those builds where I will use a tape measure, because I want to make sure that my wheelbase, where the axles are going to sit, will be exactly where I want it to. I also want to keep the frame tucked up, but to have enough material there for the motor to mount onto, the transfer case, the transmission, all the electronics, the coilovers. Like, there's a lot of stuff that has to go onto it, but the basic shape of the frame is, you go, or this is how I do it at least, go straight, kick down, I level it with the bottom of the body of the car, come back a little ways so that you have a spot for battery, interior if you're going to run it, then bring it back up and run it all the way back, so that way we have a spot for our mounting, and that way the frame stays tucked up into the body as much as possible. You know, like a real car. Let me make this one and I'll show you how I did it. And here is our frame. Nothing fancy, nothing special, just looks like a frame rail. And that's kind of the goal. So basically, we have the frame there, and the car goes like that. And as you can see, you cannot see the frame unless you really look for it. Now that is personally how I like them. I want the frame in there. You need the frame in there, but I like to keep them somewhat hidden. So basically all you'll see is control arms, coils, stuff like that. Now the way that I did it is thanks to somebody about 1.5 years ago, close to the beginning of the channel. I used to cut these and section them and do it all just one little piece at a time. What they taught me to do was cut a wedge, leave one end, bend it. So this is still all connected by at least one of the 4 sides of the frame itself. You can see on the bottom, that way it just looks a little bit cleaner. Also, when I got them to where I wanted them, I put it in the vise here, like across there, to attempt to keep it as straight as possible. It is not perfectly straight, but not a single one of those is, so why break the trend? Gotta have fun. I live in the loudest area possible. Trains, planes. It's real fun to try and film with. I'm sure you guys have seen in all the videos, there's at least one clip of when there's a plane flying over. This time it was a train. So now I'm going to just copy this. And to keep true to the channel, I actually did not use a tape measure on this. But for those of you who are trying to run interiors, like nice interiors, everything like that, you would want your interior in here and then build your frame to that. So that would require measurements. I think I'm going to run an interior. I don't really quite know, like my own type of interior. The guy that I bought this off of that printed it, he has an interior for it, but he didn't send it to me. So I may just be making my own interior. Yeah. Because, oh, I guess I never even said what this build was going to be. We are going for a classic customized redneck overlander. That'll make more sense once you see the parts that I got for it. But for now, we need a second frame rail. So let's make a second frame rail. But I can't get too carried away because I do have to paint this all still. This paint is actually laying down quite nicely. Very happy about that. Now I do still have the back sides of all these to do still, but I think that'll be the end. It's like 3 coats there, so I think that'll be the end for that. Let them dry for a while, flip them over, paint the other side, or hang them somewhere. I can't because I gotta keep them together. Why do I do this to myself? This paint lays down super nice. It also burns the eyes. But I'm going to take that as, that means it's good paint. Ooh, that really burned the eyes. It's like someone should wear safety glasses or something. This is just Ace Hardware paint, and it's actually laying down super nice. I wonder if it has anything to do with that, the prep work that went into it. Nope. So you see why I'm doing 2 things at once. The paint part of this video is probably going to be very boring. So now we'll work on the frame rails. Here we are, frame rails. We have 2 of them. I used the first one as a reference, as you saw, cut them, bent them, tacked them. They're basically ready now. Now, full transparency. Are they exactly the same? No. I don't know if you can see, but the front, this one is angled up a bit more, but they are level. So I'm not going to change it. It's not going to hurt anything. I have to measure everything and mock it all up, and like I'm making everything myself, so doesn't matter. Let's get the axles because that's going to determine the width of our frame, and I'll show you why. All right, I have boxes of axles over there because I have plans. For this particular build, since I'm doing overlanding, I wanted to build it a little different. And by build it a little different, I mean I went with straight axles. I did not do portals for this one because I didn't want to. I thought it would look better with some just straight solid axles. These planes, I swear. If you're gonna fly over my house, could you at least be in an F-35 or an F-16? That'd be greatly appreciated. So I have not entirely looked at these yet, but they actually look pretty good. It would probably help if stuff was, tight, but we have to take them apart anyhow. What we need is a measurement off of these axles. Oh, here's the rear. Just in case you were wondering, it did come with a rear. So basically, you have what would be control arms, shock towers, all that stuff is right here. Now for the shocks, I need the frame to be inside of that. By a little bit, not by a whole lot, but enough to have them spaced off so that it can articulate. But the coilovers, they're going to stick up higher than the frame because I like long coilovers. So basically, you grab your favorite tape measure, or in my case, you grab any tape measure that is available wherever they are. There it is. Now this is going to be another one of those you build it how you want it thing. So for me, I'm most likely going to be mounting the coilovers on the outside of these tabs right here because that's what I feel like I want to do. Control arms will live in here or they'll live out here. We can get to that later, but I need the measurement. So that measurement will be about 4.5. So I need the coilovers will sit there. So we'll do 4.25 inches wide total on our frame. The reason why I say total is because I make this mistake almost every time I make my own frames. Make sure in your measurement you count the width of the actual frame rails themselves. I always forget to do that. This is 1/2 inch stock. And like I said, this is one of those times where a tape measure is helpful. For temporary measuring purposes, this is what I'm doing. And look, it's exactly where I wanted it. See, I can use a tape measure. So now I have to find a spot to put these. The rear is relatively easy. It's going to be back a little bit. The front, that's the hard one. And I run into this almost every time as well. Trying to figure out where to put it, where it's basically out of the way. More often than not, I put it all the way at the very front. So on that note, just tack weld it because you may have to cut it back out later. All right, so you can't see it right now, but inside the frame is welded together. So the next step of this process is finding our wheelbase. Need to figure out where I want the center of the axle to be on the front and the rear, which is real fun with this model because you can see very long taper there and then super sharp there. Same on the back, very long taper, super sharp. Now on a normal crawler body, you won't have this type of issue that I'm having. But if you're going for something different, you got to work a little bit harder for it. Basically, I'm just looking for, I have the axles in here of about where I would want them and trying to imagine the tires being there. And also, granted, I'll have a little bit of adjustability because when I put the links in, I always make them so that they're a bit, so that there is a bit of adjustment left so I can pull it in or out and, align it because that's something as well. I'm going to guess what I think will look good. We may have to come back in here and trim some of this out depending on the size tires that I go with, which aren't going to be super huge. So basically, I'm going to put a mark on the frame. That's it. and that's where I will make the center line of the axle be, and then put the coilovers in their respective places once it comes to that. But I also did notice another issue that I now have to adjust with. So with this particular front axle, the issue that I'm having is I do want to run it as a 3-link with a track bar. So the track bar mount is right here. Well, if you look quite carefully, remember I wanted to mount the coilover on the outside of this tab. It's right up against that bracket. So I can't do that. To counteract that, basically all I'm going to do is cut a section out of the frame here. Then going to weld in just a piece of flat stock for where the coilover is going to go, and that will bring those two in, bringing it to match up so that it can sit inside of this pocket like this axle originally wanted it to. That's the plan. So let me figure that out, figure out where I need to put those, because then I'm going to lose where I want those. I guess I might have to measure. Let me figure this out. Back to the riveting content. So I flipped them all over, so this is the second coat that they're getting. So you see why I'm doing something else for you guys? Because this isn't exactly stimulating. So this is what I came up with. I C-notched the frame on both sides. Basically, all I did was I cut that out of it, and then for something to weld to, I took this 3/4 inch, put it in there, welded it in, grinded it down, welded it in, grinded it down, ground it down. What, is that the right term? Yeah, whatever. I welded it in. So yeah, that's how I came up with this C-notch. Now for the people that may be into the lower trucks, well, you can either just build the frame to do it, or you can do the same thing, but back here. But if you're making a completely custom frame, then you can just put a big hoop in it and that'll tuck the axle in. That's for the lower vehicles. This was a mistake in measuring, and instead of cutting these out like I should have, I wanted to try something new. So I C-notched it. Seems like it's going to be pretty strong. I do still have to make the tower for the shock, so that's going to help tie it in. So there we go. So now I need to figure out a skid plate for this thing, but I also need to make control arms for it and a track bar. But I need to figure out the right height, which means I need to get this thing to sit on the body so then I can adjust everything. Let's finish up the day with trying to mount this thing. That's always the hard part. The reason why I left this like this and it's not connected back here with this bar is because I may have to take some of this off for the brake lights that are going to go in this body. But right now I need to figure out a mounting solution for it. Should I do like I did with the Capri and just bolt it down? Well, I can't on the back. I could through the license plate and I could bring that down. All right, the frame is underneath it. I just put a piece of flat stock right here that's going to go against the hood. And yes, I'll have 2 bolts in the hood. Doesn't bother me. Not going for perfectly scale. And I don't like Velcro. On the back, I have done nothing. But what I'm going to do is 2 screws into the license plate area, put a bracket down, drill some holes. There you go. That's how the body will be mounted. But that is all going to be for tomorrow. I'm quite tired, so I'm going to go take a little bit of a rest. Then we'll get back to this and painting, I know, the most exciting part of this thing, tomorrow. yes, RC paint. All of the RC paint. Don't mind if I do. And if any of you were wondering where I get all the metal for my builds, right here. What's that stuff? Aluminum? Yeah, we don't mess with that. Steel. And you can find these in most hardware stores. I go here to Ace because, well, it's the cheapest in my area. You can find that little section at almost every hardware store. Rawr. Dinner. Just want to say a happy birthday to my boys. Yes. Happy birthday. These two are 14 years old today. Happy birthday, my boys. Gosh. Yeah, there's my happy birthday boys. Gosh. Alright, enough shenanigans. Back to RC stuff. As you can see, that is being painted. So, doing good. The other stuff is just drying from yesterday. It's mostly done. But back to the Impala. I realized yesterday, I think I said that this was a 69. It's not, it's a 59. So, my bad. I'm sure I corrected it in the edit. Thank you. Back on the frame. What I want to do right now is I want to kick these down. So I'm going to kick them down and then bring them back up because I have brake lights that have to go in here, and this sits perfectly level with those brake lights. So I'm going to bring it down just a little bit, enough to get it to a point where I can put a bar across here, get to the license plate, and drill some holes and put some bolts through it. I know, very technical. Oh, I should probably measure it first, shouldn't I? I need to know where the axle is going to go. Oh, I do know where the axle is going to go. I marked it. Okay, now I know where I can cut it. Sorry about the horrible light, but you know, the sun does what it wants to do. And you guys in the rest of the country, you'll see it again, don't worry, I promise. But here's our car. Here's our frame. Got it in there. Yes, I have the 2 bolts in the license plate. Doesn't bother me one bit. And I also have 2 bolts in the hood. I think what I'm going to do for the hood ones, at least, is I will paint them to match whatever the color the hood winds up being. That'll be up to Anna, because that was part of the poll that was taken of what color to paint this. So Anna will be in charge of the paint, and I'll get the bolts painted the same or close enough to it. So as you can see back here, brought this end piece down so that way it could meet here. But now, I don't know how well you can see it, but now the brake lights can go in without hitting the frame. And that was my first time doing that, you know, basically a kickback down in the rear. And not gonna lie, I kind of like it. Always have to change, always have to evolve, try something new. That's one of my many messages from this channel, is try something new. You never know until you try it. So that is going to be it for this week. Getting the frame started on this thing is a very good start, because now everything is just, well, it's getting the axles, the coilovers, all that fun stuff in here as well. So we'll get to that after we finish the rotator. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all the details of painting, but I will say that this Ace Hardware, just generic paint, which I'm sure is just Rust-Oleum, actually lays down really, really nicely if you do it correctly. Those are out there drying, doing their thing. These have mostly dried, so I'm going to put them back on the servos so that I don't lose them, because as you can see, I had to keep it to where I know what's what. So I'll put those back on the servo. Now I do have more painting to do, but I'll do that throughout the week, and you'll see it next week once it's all done and I'm putting it all back together. So thank you for joining. Doing two things at once, that's new for this video, but couldn't do a whole video on just painting. Kind of boring. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for subscribing, and we will see you next week when we start wiring the rotator. Oh joy.